What is it that you are doing differently? Maybe others can listen and learn. What did you do differently with your young team of developers on the Zimbabwean country, and how is that benefiting you?
That's a really good question, because I think that when I realized, so before I went into Zim, let me just be honest.
Yeah.
I had to do my research. A lot of the peers and friends I had around me had failed, right? They had employed young people in Zim. They got hit with the culture. A young guy would come in, you're paying him, and he comes to work and expects you to tell him what to do.
What to do, yeah.
Yeah, he's sitting there saying, I don't know what to do today. I can't make that decision, because if I make that decision, then I'm responsible for it.
Right.
So the first thing I remember having to do right from the onset is I would do regular trips out to Zim, and I would have meetings with, we call them dev days, where I'd go out and say, look, I want you to know, I want to bring the culture that we have in our business to you.
Yeah.
And our culture here has always been kind of no hierarchy, and it still is, where you have access to me, you have access to my co-directors, you have access to anyone in the company. They're all there. There's no need for you to ask any permission. It took a while, but having done that, it quickly led to this culture, a new culture within them that said, I can actually I can take responsibility and own this, this direction.
Yeah.
And I can be very specific with one exercise I gave them. So one of the things that's different about us is I would say, what are your goals and ambitions? We had to show as a company empathy to what they are trying to achieve. As a company, we want to build tech that will obviously make us successful, but what is success to them? And for some of them, it was, I need to get out of my mother's house. I want to have my own rental. Some, I want to buy a car. Some, I want to get married. So we bought into that, and everyone had an agenda. So every single year till this day, everyone declares what they're trying to do for that year, for them, and the company's role is to make that happen for them. It brings such a sense of worth, like I'm valuable.
Yeah.
So it brings a self-belief. From that self-belief comes a level of, I'm okay in this environment. You know, like if you walk into a house, especially with kids, when they come home, they're different from when they say at someone else's house, because they know it's their house, right? There's a sense of pride, there's a sense of I'm accepted here. And when you release the sense of pride and acceptance, what actually happens as well is a sense of I can speak. And that led to some saying, you know what, boss, this little thing, and they'll call me boss, and I'll say, no, my name is Simon. And they'll be like, no, you can't call me. But you know what, boss, there's this little area, I really think we could speed up our tech if we did this. And I'll be like, okay, well, go ahead and do it. Take 20% of your time and do it, other than the other work you're doing. If you achieve it, we'll give you a nice pat on the back and the recognition that you achieved it. And that was enough, because they were in an environment where they felt they could do that. So what's happened over the time is just we've kept pushing into that to a level at which now we have a sense of, you know what, we're allowed to do whatever we want in the business, as long as it's within the channels of we're growing the business and making it successful. So maybe to just highlight the points I would give to another company to say, look, this is what you need to do is, one, love the people you employ beyond the money that they're making you, because that's really where some of this comes from, greed. Second, inspire them to think outside of the box, right? And that just means give them a room to think out the box. And then third is accept when they make mistakes, because that's another thing we have to get over. Like, they could make a mistake, but that's okay. That's part of the process. And I think that cultural change within a business, before we talk about cultural on a Shona level and develop level, whatever level you're at, we need to be thinking on that business level where if a business wants to be successful, it has to change its culture. So that's what we did differently. It was just change the culture.
And it's worked wonders for you. It's absolutely amazing, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. I testify, yeah. I mean, look, I'm here able to do what I do because there's other people who are doing what they do and what they love to do. And maybe this seeps into what drives me, because I'm looking at this and thinking, I just want to have impact and love the things that I do.
And they don't have to have anybody behind them with a whip, you know.
No,
that's absolutely the magic. So I always talk about this. I have got a team sitting in different countries at any different time of the day, right? We have a team that does all our back office, and that team, you know where they are based? India.
Okay, right.
We have a team that does some of our front-end work that is based in UK, and we have a team based in Zimbabwe.
Right.
We have teams that are based in South Africa. Trust me. But how we've managed to keep that going, and we've been doing this for 8 years, how we've managed to keep it going is I have learned exactly what you've said. I decided that I didn't want to be the any part of these businesses.
100%.
I also want to be an employee and a servant to these businesses, and I want these businesses to thrive beyond me. You know, so if you are building something that has to grow and transcend you, you have to take that approach and empower people to own this thing.
Yes.
So when COVID happened, like I mentioned in the beginning, we were already working digital, you know, co-working, people working from different places. But I think that we went down and sat down with my team and said, right, you guys and you managers, how on earth are we going to be monitoring everyone working from home?
Yes.
And I say to them, guys, let's do this. Empower everyone and give them, every department and every team, the opportunity to choose and decide how they are going to run their departments.
Okay.
For me, what was going to be important is to have a dashboard that tells me the reports of the numbers of what each thing I need to track.
I see.
Yeah, because otherwise, how is anybody going to do it, right? You know, and so that's what we did.
And how's that turned out for you?
Oh my gosh, that was the magic.
Amazing.
Because everyone has a choice. They can go to the office, they can be at home, but at the end of the day, we meet every week and we give each other the direction and results and outcomes. What are the outcomes? The businesses are more outcome based.
Yes.
Than anybody whipping to say, are you on your desk? This is football, right? Are you watching football? Which game are you watching?
Yeah.
No, you do your thing, but you give us the results at the end of the day. So daily, we track the numbers. What numbers have we got? What tasks have been? Project management. So it's more empowering and people feel they own. And they owe it to the business now, to the work, to say, oh my gosh, if this piece is not done, it means the next team and the next team can't do their work. So people own that thing.
Yeah, and I think you're touching on teamwork there as well, which is when you start backing each other. And we've seen that in our business as well, just being able to say, look, if you don't do this part, the other person's stuck. And I think one of the things we also did, which contrary to, I guess, what's happening now, is we opened an office in the first 3 years.
Yeah.
We actually said, you're all going to have a premises to work from.
Yeah.
And partly because of, as you know, with Zimbabwe, in some cases, they just, the infrastructure is not there.
Absolutely.
Electricity goes, the internet goes down. So we actually set up a hub for them to work from initially. But one of the biggest things behind that hub, beyond the electricity, beyond the services and the desks and the computers, was actually to bring that culture of teamwork.
Culture building.
Yeah. And that teamwork you touched on in terms of bringing in a sense of responsibility to each other.
Exactly.
And it went beyond responsibility at work to being responsible to each other's welfare.
Absolutely.
You know, between them, they've now created what you would expect, you know, little groups where they're raising money together.
Wow.
And as you call Maround, as you call them in Zimbabwe. And various other things that they're doing to support each other. So I think building a team beyond work, I mean, obviously this is work, business we're talking about, but teams are teams. They need to love each other.
We are human at the end of the day, right? And so I wanted to bring a point, right, to say we can discuss all these things and talk about it, but we know the demons in Africa, the issues of infrastructure. People may want to embrace digital, embrace technology, and make this part of their core business. But how do they deal with the day-to-day constraints and difficulties on the continent?
That's a really good question. So following kind of my recruitment in Zim, I got really hungry. And I wanted to recruit everyone,
right?
The whole country, right? And of course you can't do that. And I remember thinking at the time, how do I empower the next generation? I started to see it like, I saw how by giving someone a regular income, you could change their life, change the families around them. Because a lot of the young people we brought in, within 3 to 6 months, they could say, you know what, I'm ready to achieve my goal. And they would achieve their goal, then they'll look for the next goal. The next goal was, I need to send this person to school, or whatever it was that they were trying to do. And I remember thinking, if we can do that on a grand scale, we could change a whole economy. Yeah. We really could. Because what we're doing is we're decentralizing the power from a certain individual who says, I'm the boss, to everyone's able to do what they do. So at the time, I remember I asked one of the young guys who was part of a big community of other developers or other creatives. I said, look, can you hold an event for me? Can you arrange an event with all your people you know in the space? And I went and I did a talk there. That went really well. Before I knew it, I did a whole road trip across Zimbabwe in different, we did Bulawayo. In fact, we did some through the internet as well. And we reached a ton of young people. And
Yeah.
the story I was saying to them was, do you know that your skill is valuable? One.
Yes.
Two, listen, take it from me. You have probably not benchmarked yourself with the people internationally, but you're good enough.
Yeah.
And I remember saying that, really, kind of
Validation.
reminding them that it's important. And then, of course, making them realize as well that they had this opportunity outside, that people outside wanted them, we wanted them.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess from that came what I think I shared with you briefly. That was something called the 1K challenge. How could I get people to earn $1,000 a month
Yeah.
without me being in the middle? You're right. How can I teach them to go and farm, and fish for themselves, let's put it that way, and bring the fish in?
Without them leaving the country, without them leaving the continent.
100%.
Right.
100%.
Yeah.
And the backdrop to this was also this idea that young people were leaving the continent to find opportunities and risking
Yeah.
their lives, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, this belief that you can do that is real now, and it all led to this idea of mentoring, right? Everyone needs a big brother or someone who comes and says, you know what, I've been on this journey, walk with me. I know the journey is not going to be exactly the same, but it will be equally, with my help and my viewpoint from a different perspective, I can help you. And it's not financial help only that I'm going to give you, I'm going to give you insights on your specific situation. And I think that's become kind of the new outlet for me to do exactly as I said, in terms of reaching out and touching more people.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of us can do that, right? In terms of how do we take what we've learned and clearly mark it out in a way that someone else can follow. I'm not saying a blueprint, but I'm simply saying just some guide points, some lights along the way to say, look, when you feel that things are not going well, that's normal.
We're ready.